Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna. My name is Sitapati das.
My name is Danna Devi.
And this is Bhagavad-gita As It Is, 261. Bhagavad-gita, the Song of God, as it is, by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Chapter 2. In English?
61. Oh gosh, what was the...
Chapter 2 title?
Saṁyamya. Saṁyamya.
No.
No.
Oh
gosh.
In English.
Chapter 2.
Yeah, it's called Contents of the Gita Summarized.
Oh my gosh, content of the Gita summarized.
Yeah, which I think comes from Bhaktivedanta Thakur's Amavasya commentary, maybe.
You
But
got me there.
the traditional name is Sankhya Yoga.
Yeah, I like the tradition. You see, I'm very traditional.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
It's true. True. Okay, text 61. You want to do the Sanskrit?
Okay, sure.
Take it away.
All right. Tāni sarvāṇi saṁyamya yukta āsīta mat-paraḥ vaśe yasyendriyāṇi tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā prajñā pratiṣṭhitā. I thought we did that before. But tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā. That sounds very familiar to me. Sarvāṇi all.
Hang on. No. We definitely did not do this, honey.
Is it the same?
No, this is the one before. This is the one you did with Isha.
No. Are these something?
Here, tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā.
Okay, yeah.
So we did text 258 and it's the same.
Yeah.
Indriyāṇi tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā. His consciousness is fixed up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, got it.
Yeah, so 58 and 61 end with the same line.
Mm-hmm.
Repetition is necessary when a point is very important. That's from another Prabhupada.
No wonder why I repeat myself. You things over and over, I still not get it.
It's because you love me.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's do the word for word.
Okay. So, tāni,
Those senses,
sarvāṇi,
all,
saṁyamya,
keeping under control,
yuktaḥ,
being engaged,
āsīta,
being so situated,
mat-paraḥ,
in relationship with me,
vaśe,
in full subjugation.
he,
Certainly,
yasya,
one whose
indriyāṇi,
senses,
tasya,
his
prajñā,
consciousness,
pratiṣṭhitā.
fixed.
Again. Okay.
Yes. Translation. One who restrains his senses and fixes his consciousness upon me is known as a man of steady intelligence.
Mm.
Sthita di.
What?
Sthita di. Sage of steady consciousness, sage of steady intelligence is in another verse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, there's a ton here, bunch of it. You do the first purport, I'll take over from the Sanskrit.
Okay.
First paragraph.
Okay, eyes, please.
Can you see it okay?
Yeah. Maybe a little bit this way, please.
We moved the monitor last night for the viewing party for We Came Here for Freedom.
The viewing party.
Yeah, it was. It was the premiere, and then we got ice cream, and we were going to make popcorn, but we didn't. But we got the whole family together, and I turned the monitor around and hooked up that big speaker system so we could hear the mridungas.
I like having those many times.
Yeah, well,
With
when
the
River of
family.
Freedom comes out, we'll do it again.
Popcorn this time. Okay. That the highest conception of yoga perfection is Kṛṣṇa consciousness is clearly explained in this verse. And unless one is Kṛṣṇa conscious, it is not at all possible to control the senses, as cited above. The great sage Durvāsā Muni picked a quarrel with Mahārāja Ambarīṣa, and Durvāsā Muni unnecessarily became angry out of pride and therefore could not check his senses. On the other hand, the king, although not as powerful as yogī, as the sage, but a devotee of the Lord, silently tolerated all the sage's injustices and thereby emerged victorious. The king was able to control his senses because of the following qualifications, as mentioned in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Right, honey?
Sure. Savaimana Kṛṣṇa padarvindayor vachamsi vaikuna gunana varnane karau harir mandira marjanadishu shrutim chakrar chyuta satkatodaye mukunda lingalaya darshane drishau tadbritya gatra sparshinga sangamam granam chatat pada saroja saurabe Śrīmad-Tulasya rasanam tadarpite padau hare kshetra padanusarpane shiro hrishikesha padabhivandane kamam chadasyai natu kamakamyaya yato tamashloka janashrayaratihi. I'll do the English to that too. King Ambarīṣa fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣṇa, engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotee, his nostrils in smelling the flavor of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulasi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to the holy place, where his temple is situated, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. And all these qualifications made him fit to become a mat-paraḥ, devotee of the Lord. Bhagavatam, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 9:4-18-20.
The word mat-paraḥ is most significant in this connection. How one can become a mat-paraḥ is described in the life of Mahārāja Ambarīṣa. Srila Baladev Vidyabhūshana, a great scholar and acharya in the line of the mat-paraḥ, remarks, mat bhakti pravana sarvendriya vijaya purvika swatma drishtihi sulabeti babaha. The senses can be completely controlled only by the strength of devotional service to Kṛṣṇa. Also, the example of fire is sometimes given. As the small flames within burn everything within the room, similarly Lord Vishnu, situated in the heart of the yogi, burns all kinds of impurities. The Yoga Sutra also prescribes meditation on Vishnu and non-meditation on the void. The so-called yogis who meditate on something which is not the Vishnu form simply waste their time in vain, in a vain search for some phantasmagoria.
A vain search after some phantasmagoria.
Phantasmagoria. We have to be Kṛṣṇa conscious devoted to the personality Godhead. This is the aim of the real yoga.
We have to be Kṛṣṇa conscious, devoted to the personality of Godhead. That's meant to be like an M dash rather than just like it's not like a hyphen.
Okay.
This is the aim of the real yoga. Om jnana timirandasya gyanan jana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai sri gurave namaha.
I'm going to come closer to you.
Oh yeah, that's the mantra that I did at ProFest on the stage for the Karakia. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble, respectful obeisances unto that spiritual master. So this verse here, I mean, there's kind of two things in here in the purport. One who restrains his senses and fixes his consciousness on me is known as a man of steady intelligence. Now, Prabhupada here is talking, he's arguing against impersonal meditation. And Kṛṣṇa himself will say it later. He'll say, to this, to fix your mind on the unmanifest is very difficult for the embodied soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is. So, you have the sage Durvāsā Muni, he's an impersonalist sage, impersonalist meditator.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then you have Ambarīṣa Mahārāja. That's where they're contrasted with each other. The other thing is that Durvāsā is like, he's a Brahmana, but he's not And it's because you see, in the what happened with Ambarīṣa Mahārāja and Durvāsā Muni is this guy. He's a character who's he has a particular nature to him in the different pastimes where he participates. He shows up and he's a particular type of character.
Mm-hmm.
And who he is he's this super kind of like proud and angry Brahmana who loves cursing people. That's his whole shtick, you know. That's why when people are like,
Sounds like me when I'm angry.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And like, you know, when I hear devotees complaining, I'm like, this is just so weak. If this was the, you know, make it interesting, like the Bhagavatam, like, why didn't you curse the guy to die? You know, like the devotee complained to me, oh, this devotee, he didn't give me this money. And I was like, well, why didn't you just curse him to die of cancer then? Like, you know, something like from the Bhagavatam, because that's what Durvāsā Muni will do. Durvāsā Muni curses people to die. So what happened was that Durvāsā Muni shows up at Ambarīṣa Mahārāja's place, who's a king. And King Ambarīṣa has been following this fast near Joe.
Yeah, I follow that.
And then he has
I know that story. No, I follow that. Yeah.
And so he has to break his fast at a certain time. Like I did near Joel, I don't know, a couple of days ago, and I had to break my fast between 7:34 and 7:48. So there's a 14-minute window where you have to break the fast.
Yeah.
So there's a 14-minute window, you know, otherwise, you know, and you asked me actually when I said to you, what happens if you don't do it then? I'm like, we go to hell, you know, but in this story, he'll lose all the benefits of the fast. And it's been like a really long one. And it's like at a certain super powerful astrological thing, right? So it's not repeatable. It's not like, oh, I'll just have to do it again. It's like it can't be done again. So he has to break the fast at that time. But what happens is Durvāsā Muni kind of knows about it and wants to ruin it because he doesn't want this guy to get the benefit of it. So he shows up and says, oh, you know, and so Mahārāja Ambarīṣa invites him to take something to eat. And he says, oh, I'll just go to the river then and just and take my bath and then I'll come back and we'll eat because he has to bathe before he can eat. It's a Brahmana. So he goes to the river and he's timing his thing so that he's going to get back after the fast is broken. So Mahārāja Ambarīṣa won't have the opportunity. Deliberately.
That's so envious.
Oh, he is. That's his whole thing. This is his whole shtick.
So envious.
So Mahārāja Ambarīṣa is like, what am I going to do? Like, I've got a real problem because I can't eat before my guest. But if I don't break fast, I'm going to lose all the benefit of all this austerity I've performing. So he asks one of his Brahmin advisors. And the Brahmana says, well, Your Majesty, you could just take some water because taking some water is breaking your fast, but it's not eating before your guest eats. So he's like, okay. So he takes the water and in that way he breaks the fast, but without eating before his guest eats. But when Durvāsā Muni comes back, he's expecting Mahārāja Ambarīṣa to be like dejected because he didn't get to break his fast, but he can understand that actually the king did break his fast somehow. So he becomes angry and then he pulls
his trick.
Yeah, I don't know if he pulls a hair off his head and throws it on the ground. Lord Shiva did that in the Daksha Yoga, but he summons a demon or a chakra.
No, it was it was something about the chakra, and then I think Ambarīṣa, he got angry and he cursed him, I think, about it. And then Ambarīṣa, he just prayed to Kṛṣṇa, and then Kṛṣṇa, or one of the demigods, and then he says, go and see Kṛṣṇa, and then the Sudarshan chakra came to, and then I think Lord Vishnu was very upset about it.
Let's have a look.
And he sent his Sudarshan chakra. He was chasing, what's his name of this angry guy?
Durvāsā.
He was chasing Durvāsā in different universes. And then he came to apologize.
Here, see? When he returned, he began to chastise Mahārāja Ambarīṣa, but he was not satisfied. And finally, he created from his hair a demon appearing like the fire of death. So he pulled a hair out of his head and threw it into the ground, and then a demon came out and then chased after Ambarīṣa Mahārāja. But then, so the Sudarshan chakra came and killed the Lord Vishnu's chakra, killed the demon, and then started pursuing Durvāsā. So then Durvāsā went to Brahmaloka, then to Shiva Loka to talk to the various demigods to save him, and none of them could. And they sent him to Vishnu, and then finally, Vishnu said, we have to go and apologize to the devotee. So to be excused from such an offense, one must submit to the Vaishnava whom he has offended. There's no other way to be excused. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's actually just a very good thing, and it's a very good interaction between them. And you know what happens is when devotees don't curse the other person like that, it never happens. That curse eats them themselves. This devotee's going, he owes me money and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, dude, why don't you just curse the guy to die, man? Like in the Bhagavatam. Oh, no, I can't do that because I'm like, why not? That's what they do in the Bhagavatam. Why don't you just do what they do in the Bhagavatam? I don't see in the Bhagavatam people going around just complaining all the time. Anyway, side rant.
That's his little rant. And Sitapati's brain.
Yeah.
Rah, 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 rah.
But the point here is that Mahārāja, see, the thing about this is, and so that's a cool story and everything about Vaishnava Aparad, blah, 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 right? Nothing wrong with that, but don't miss this other aspect of it, which is that here is this Brahmin, Muni, a sage. He's an ascetic. He, as far as we know, he's a celibate ascetic Brahmana. So he's superior in ashram and varna to Mahārāja Ambarīṣa, who is a grihastha kshatriya. And yet, the person who is of a higher varna and a higher ashram in the spiritual pecking order of varnashram dharma is vanquished by this person who's lower. Why? Because instead of meditating on the impersonal absolute, as Durvāsā Muni does, Ambarīṣa Mahārāja follows the very practical engagement of the senses with spiritualized sense objects path of bhakti yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point that's being made here.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows these 9 different ways in which Mahārāja Ambarīṣa engages the senses. I think it's 9. Fixes mind, 1. Words, 2. Hands, 3. Ears, 4. Eyes, 5. Body, 6. Nostrils, 7.
Smelling.
Tongue,
8.
8. Legs, 9. His head, 10. And his desires, 11. So there are actually 11. 11 different ways. He engages all of his senses, his active and his receiving senses in the service of the Lord. And so instead of withdrawing the senses from the sense objects, one actually engages them with spiritualized sense objects. And then people will say, well, that's like a less advanced thing, right? However, further down here, it cites the Yoga Sutra, also prescribes meditation on Vishnu and not meditation on the void. So the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali describes the Ashtanga Yoga process, which is yama, niyama, pratyahara. So yama, niyama, asana, pratyahara, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. Those are the 8. Yama and niyama, things that should not be done, yama, things that must be done, niyama. And then you have asana, which is like sitting down. And then you have pranayam, which is controlling the breathing. Literally means like controlling. Yama means controlling a prana, the life force. Pratyahara means withdrawing the senses, like the other day we said the tortoise, withdrawing the senses into the shell. And then dharana means focusing the attention, like focus. And so, you know, one of the practices I'll do is I have a candle and I focus on the flame, right? So you practice like focusing, and like emptying the mind and focusing and everything. And people go and do those Vipassana retreats, you know, those Buddhist kind of the void, emptying the mind.
That.
And
I want to do Vipassana.
Okay, great. Have fun.
I will, for sure. My mind will love it. I will scream today.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways.
So then from dharana, after that comes dhyan, which is when you have the ability to focus. Your guru gives you a transcendental object of meditation, a mantra, a murti, something like that. And so then you focus on the mantra. You're focusing on the murti. And so it's not simply focusing, it's not simply concentrating, it's not meditating on the void, it's not simply emptying the mind and then having nothing. It goes from dharana to dhyana. And dhyan means positive engagement of the mind in meditating on a transcendental object rather than a material object. So the idea of pratyahara and dharana is withdrawing the senses, so emptying the mind of all material meditations, and then dhyan, meditating on Lord Vishnu. and that the Yoga Sutra itself prescribes that. So the idea of doing the Vipassana retreat is a philosophical deviation.
Too bad. Not for my mind.
That's the conclusion there. Yeah, the so-called yogis who meditate on something which is not the Vishnu form simply waste their time in a vain search after some phantasmagoria. Devoted to personality God. That's the aim of the real yoga. So, in the verse, he says, one who restrains his senses, fixes his consciousness upon me, known as a man of steady intelligence. So there you go. An extended purport on the purport. Okay, over to you.
Yeah. Take on, what is it?
Contemporary application or a contemporary example.
Restrain his senses. I think one of the things that I try to cut off from my life, and I guess that's easier for me because I haven't been too much involved in the sense gratification since early age. And in that regard, my grandmother was quite good. Like, why are you wasting your time in certain things that are not valuable? So why don't you just do things that are practical, that you need right now? And, coming to the Western world, you have access to so much sense gratification over the phone, parties, and how you look, makeup, dressing, shopping is so much for a female. So much access, and I could be like hours and hours and hours on the phone, trying to do shopping, looking makeup things, dressed up things, and shopping for this, gossip from this tabloid and this, what do you call this one? Hollywood people. I can do all of those things. I could be involved in that. And by doing that, I will be so much influenced. My senses will be so agitated by that, Looking handsome guy.
Scrolling Instagram.
Who looks quite handsome. Follow this handsome guy. Or, talking to my friends, I like this guy, and, talking more about this guy. I could be doing all of those things. However, I go back to my simple life, why complicate my life with things that are not beneficial to me? I don't gain anything from it. I don't gain anything from following a handsome guy. Like, how am I benefiting? My senses are just getting so alarmed, like, oh my gosh, I think, a guy like this will be good to have, and this, I will be doing that. You know what I mean? The mind just goes miles per second. And instead of that, I say like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, what is the most practical thing that I can do right now? So I cut it off. And to the point that I'm kind of repulsive now. It's like, nah.
Yeah, well, all modern social media platforms are designed to capture your attention and then focus it on advertising so they can sell. They basically want to sell your attention to advertisers. That's what social media is. It's a psychological operation.
Oh, for sure.
On the living entities to capture their attention and then sell it to people for money.
And you're not selling my attention.
Yeah, exactly. It's the most valuable thing we have.
So precious. Yeah.
That's the most valuable thing we have: time and attention.
Exactly. So,
where attention goes, energy flows.
Exactly. I rather put my attention in,
transcendental topics.
Yes, like for example, this Bhagavad-gita class and discuss. And
we've done like 6 hours of discussion on transcendental topics online.
Oh my God.
We did a 3.5 hour episode of Vaishnava Voices talking about the news, Hare Krishna's at the New Zealand Parliament protests in 2022. Then we did like a 40-minute review of reaction to We Came Here for Freedom Part 2. And now we're like getting up to 30 minutes on a Bhagavad-gita class.
Wow. Yeah, so
what else did we even do today? Slept, cooked, ate.
Oh, we cooked.
Chanted.
You did the dishes.
Yeah.
I read a little bit.
The reading.
A little bit.
I finished one book. I'm
already
into another. Yeah.
Yeah, so we engage in our senses and things that are beneficial for ourselves, and also whatever we benefit and we can share with people. So this, it's beneficial. I don't want to be just using my time because I know it's precious in things that are not favorable to my own sake, state of mind, and consciousness. And
one should accept that which is favorable to Kṛṣṇa consciousness and reject that which is unfavorable.
exactly. So we have to be smart about this, very, very smart. Spending time with my husband, because this is devotional service.
Together.
It's devotional service, guys. Who would have thought?
It is when you have a devotee for a husband.
Yeah, exactly. If you were, yeah, it makes sense. Because previously, I didn't think that was a devotional service at all.
Really?
Nah. When you are not a devotee and you have no knowledge about this, you will never even think of this like being married. Even being married is a devotional service. Serving your husband, keeping your house clean and tidy, doing your garden or whatever. We don't see it as a devotional service. Someone else benefiting out of it. But now it's like, oh gosh, I don't want to do this, but it's devotional service. Look at still doing it. We're having a bad times and everything. Was like, oh, this is part of the devotional service. I have to do it. You know what I mean? It's like it is. It's precious. You learn. Obviously, I'm learning a lot. Yeah, a lot. I'm going right out of the corner.
Yeah, you're going out of the corner.
Yeah.
I got some new things coming from China.
What?
So I got a new green screen that's wider because at the moment we're having to crop the camera. It's cutting us off. We're gonna have a wider green screen behind us.
Yeah, that's what I said, green screen.
And then I got a thing that plugs into the computer and that we can plug that camera into. And I got a power adapter for that camera. I got a thing that can plug this camera in to here, so we can try this camera. We can try that camera. And so we can put the camera further out. And then we can
use the space behind us.
Use the space behind us. And we could even set up a whole other thing, like on Redacted, how they have a thing there. So anyway, we'll go piece by piece, but we'll start with that. A different camera, further back, a wider green screen behind us.
That's him. Gadgets, shopping.
Necrophiliac. Fascinated with dead things. Gadgets.
Gadgets, really?
Yeah, like, the camera. That's why you're like, oh yeah, I like that you're really good with technology and stuff. And it's like, yeah, those are the kind of things I really get into. We go into a shop and it's like, look at the plants. And I'm like, yeah, they're plants. They're like those things outside, right? And you're just like, this one looks
you
cute.
should be proud of me because I spend money in things that are like, plants,
Let's show people this.
Plants and garden.
We got this.
I'm decorating my husband's office because his desk is boring.
No, I'll tell you why.
It's boring.
I mentioned that was because with the new you can't see it because it's a green screen.
Wow, we have a bonsai tree.
Bonsai tree, but you can't see it. I'll turn off the green screen. Hang on.
Okay.
Because I was thinking, with the new green screen, the new size, the new camera and everything, we could do a different setup where you could actually see these. You could put this in the background and see it.
Yeah, we need a what do you call this?
I go into the chroma key. How do I disable this?
You can see the energy of the guy.
You can't disable it. I'll do this.
It's so precious.
Chroma key.
It's so cute.
Ooh. Blue.
Yeah, you can.
Magenta.
No, this way.
There you go. What was that?
He's a cool guy.
Bonsai tree. How old is it? 6
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, look at what our studio looks like now. It's just us in front of this little green thing, and then we're like really jammed in. There's two of us, but we'll be wider. We can have more space.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we can have more space.
You're in my Bible. Okay. Turn it on. I don't like the green. It doesn't go well with me. Yeah, we have more plants, little friends. It's a bit more vivid.
Yeah. So it's all devotional service.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the other contemporary application that I wanted to give. Can I give one?
Yeah, for sure. It's your turn.
It's from
Silent. Not turn for you.
restraining the senses. It's from We Came Here for Freedom. So you're on the front line and the police are right there and they're provoking because they want to provoke a violent response from the protesters so they can ramp up their violence, and then they can capture media footage that's going to make it look like, that it was justified and that they had to do it and that they were acting in self-defense. So they're constantly trying to provoke a more widespread response at the same time, because you see that their commanders are dealing with like the political environment, public perception. They're dealing with also like proportionality and response. Like if we go there, how are these protesters going to respond to that? It's a very delicate situation that they're in, but they're trying to provoke that response, right? So what's necessary there is to restrain the senses so you're not reacting to anything that they do. And then you're fixing your consciousness on Kṛṣṇa, and you do that through chanting. And so we had to constantly train ourselves and the other devotees around us, and no matter what happens, you just chant Harinam Eva Kevalam. Only Harinam. There is no other way. And the provocations even go to the extent of having, other devotees who are opposed to it going, well, why don't you, how come, you don't fight with the police or some dumb thing like that? It's like, what even is this? I don't think you understand the power of the holy name. It is the most powerful astra weapon on the planet. Sangopangastra Parshadam. In the Kali Yuga, the Lord comes in the form of his holy name. That is the weapon. That's the chakra. That's Lord Vishnu's chakra is incarnated as the holy name. So Lord Vishnu's chakra was present there at the profess. And the way that happens is restraining the senses and fixing the consciousness on Kṛṣṇa, on Lord Vishnu.
Right.
So there you go, another contemporary application.
Well, I can restrain my senses when I'm in the garden center.
We end up walking out with all kinds of things, like a 6-year-old bonsai tree. That has to live outside. It's going to make it a nice little snack for the cows.
No.
They're going to love it. They're going to be, that was tasty, but is there anything else to eat? They could eat hundreds of those things, man.
Yeah.
But we got them pretty contained. It's well contained now.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
But they're really good habits.
What are? Plants?
Plants.
Yeah,
garden.
that's true. Yeah. They're in the mode of goodness.
You're very lucky.
Okay, tell me more.
I'm in the mode of goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very lucky.
I could be out shopping a very expensive clothing. You see?
Although, just to make it all about me, again, it's not luck, it's skill.
Skill what?
Getting the right wife.
No, it's not only that. It's karma.
It's fate.
It's karma.
Okay, let's go back to the verse. Finish.
Okay.
Tāni sarvāṇi saṁyamya yukta āsīta mat-paraḥ vaśe yasyendriyāṇi tasya prajñā pratiṣṭhitā.
Oh. One who restrains his senses and fixes his consciousness upon me is known as a man of steady intelligence.
Joy! Param vijayate Sri Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare
Jai
Kṛṣṇa.
Srila Prabhupada. Thanks for tuning
Jai
in.
Shri Kṛṣṇa.